Hi all, welcome to another painting tutorial with Crafternoon. Last week we did the Easter Bunny, which I heard may have been slightly tough for complete beginners, so we are simplifying it a bit this week. We are doing a tree, and with these trees you can completely make them your own, so if you are doing them as a family or as a pair, you can choose to do different colour schemes, so if you put them up next to each other, firstly it won't be a competition, and secondly they'll look a little bit different from each other. Another bit of feedback that I got was that the sound quality wasn't great, so I have upped this a little bit and I'm using some different software. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be slightly more easy to listen to. I'm not going to draw anything on my canvas first, I'm just going to paint directly onto it. And you want to, in the sky, make it go from dark to light at the bottom. So the baseline where the grass is going to go is going to be the lightest part, so mostly white with a tiny bit of colour in. And at the top it will be your pure colour. Which for me, I'm just going to go straight with the blue to the white to keep it simple. No real mixing involved. I'm going to get my biggest brush, my favourite brush. Dab it out a little bit on the kitchen roll. You're going to grab your blue directly onto the canvas. A lot of people tend to be quite shy. Just really stick it on straight away and get your white, and then you want to put your white directly onto the canvas. Acrylics dry really, really quickly, which means you need to blend also really quickly. Okay, you don't want to be able to see any canvas through the blue, so you want to get rid of all the white little specks. If you're using paper, it will be a lot easier to cover. And then if you keep using these really big brush strokes the whole way to see if you can get it as even and as fluid as possible. If I was to get the white now and press it right down, you see how it just makes that sort of mark? You want it to be a lot more light-handed, if that makes sense. Okay. You're not going to use a big brush again, so you can just put it straight back in your water. And now we wait. So acrylics normally take about 10 minutes to dry, depending on the thickness of the paint. I put mine on quite thick because I just kept adding white and blue to mine. Okay, so now my painting is dry, I'm ready to start doing the silhouette of the tree. I'm going to start with the grass because the background's not completely dry yet. I just put my finger mark on it and I can still see it. So I'll start with this, and hopefully by the time I get to the trunk it will be completely dry. With the silhouette we're just going to go completely black, straight on the canvas, nice and easy. I've got a brush it's a medium sized brush, but it's got a slanted edge so I can get quite a thin, precise line, so I can get the blade to the grass accurately. We're going to start and just purely cover the bottom. Okay, so to do the blades of grass, as you can see from this was Zach's one. He's got in varying directions. He's using the edge of his brush. And if you take a look at my one, you also get a little bit more grass around the base of the tree trunk. And it's quite nice to keep it going on both sides as well. So you don't want too much paint on your brush, probably about this much. And then you can use, I find it easier to go from the bottom up to get a nice straight line. And just this, if you keep doing that, building it up and up and up, slowly you'll get the grass effect. Okay, so now I have my grass all the way along. It's not overly even, but you can always come back to it. I'm going to do the trunk of my tree. This, you don't have to put it in the middle if you don't want. If you want a sideways tree, if you want it a little bit off centre, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to have mine in the middle as well to keep it the same as my other two. Now, Zach made his tree trunk quite wide at the base, which it should be a little bit wider than the middle of it. I made mine relatively straight until right at the bottom. Again, it's completely up to you. I'm going to make a little bit of a thicker trunk than what I did the last time. To find out where the middle is, you can either use a ruler, which is not cheating, feel absolutely free to do that. I'm not going to draw it out or anything, I'm just going to see that it's a 12-inch canvas, mark on where 6 is. There we go. And then I'm going to do it again a little bit further up. Mark on where 6 is. There we go. And now I just know that I'm going to be on the right track if I follow the 2 dots together into the base. Branches tend not to go out directly or out at certain angles, they always grow up and then drop. So we're going to draw our branches going up and then dropping. And then this one is going to go going up and then dropping. So for now, this is what my tree is going to look like, which obviously doesn't look like a normal tree, but then as you work in and make branches come off of each main branch, you'll start to see it all come together. So I'm going to make my base of the trunk slightly thicker. I'm going to make the base of all the branches slightly thicker. Okay, and from these we're going to make slightly smaller branches, so you want to change the thickness of the paint that you're using, paintbrush. So I've gone for an even smaller brush, coming off of each one by one, we're going to make slightly smaller ones, and I'm going to do 4 off of each. So now I've got my branches coming off of my main branches. I'm just going to make sure all of my lines, if you look at these lines here, they break a little bit, which means I just didn't have the right consistency of water and acrylic paint. So I'm just going to go over these and make sure they're all nice and even with really nice straight lines. All branches get smaller towards the end, sort of as a rule of thumb. So a good trick to do is to keep your brush on the flat side first, and then slowly twist your hand and move it so that it's on the thin side, so it can easily flow from, if we take this one for example, I'm going to go off here and twist, and then you get the nice thin line off of it. I'm just going to add a few more little branches to the sides of these, just to fill out the gaps. So that's the silhouette of my tree done. I'm now going to let that dry before I go over the top with the leaves. You just want to make sure that all the lines are really nice and crisp, even though we are going to completely cover the majority of it. You still want to make sure nice and crisp, so if you do see bits of the black branches underneath the leaves, they will be nice and straight. Same with the grass, just double check that that's all really, really nice and smooth. If you're happy with that, go make a cup of tea and come back in 5–10 minutes. Okay, and when your silhouette of your tree is dry, it's time to add the leaves. So Zach did a cherry blossom tree, which was a mixture of red and white. I did a mixture of red, yellow and white to make my autumn leaves. Today I'm going to do a mixture of green, yellow and white to do a summer tree and see And I haven't done it before, so I'm not sure how the yellow and the green is going to mix, but we'll see. You want a good space on your palette, so this is dry, so I'm just going to work on top of it and create 4 colours in separate sections. So I've now mixed a palette, if you ignore the red and the black, palette, oh, I've got the blue, a palette that I'm happy with for using for all my different shades of my leaves. I'm going to put my paintbrush away, and that's it. You can now get rid of all of this as well. And we are going to use these, which usually you would use to clean your ears. Today we're going to use to make our leaves with. You can get them at most either pharmacies or big department stores. I think I got mine from Lidl. If you do have a hairband or an elastic band, I'd recommend clumping. I have about 20, maybe a bit less than that. Wrapping it round. All I have is the one that I'm using to tie my hair up with. I've got nothing else in the house. So I'm just going to hold them together in a clasp so that they're all flat. To test that, you can flatten them against the table and just bang to make sure you've got quite an even flat edge if you look at it from the side. We are then going to go directly in the middle to our midtones. There we go. So you've got full coverage on your cotton buds. Are they called cotton buds? I'm not sure. I'm going to start and go along the branch. Not forgetting the bits around the side as well. A good rule of thumb is to keep the darker colours where the branches meet and a bit more into the centre. And then a lighter colour over the top. And then this bit's completely up to you. I really liked it with the autumn and the blossom. Typically you don't get that many green leaves falling down, but I did like the effect, so I'm going to do a few. Both on the grass and mid-air. And then I'm going to drop these. You can get a few white bits, so really light colours. Either use 1 or 2. There we go. Please do send me your versions of your tree, and remember to @Crafternoon and tag us and follow us and share and all that business. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week with something a little bit different.